Discovery Channel. Entertain your brain.
The story of Jesus is one of the most famous in history. But there's another part to the story, one that offers new insights into the life and mission of Jesus. This is the incredible tale of the people who would risk everything in their devotion to Jesus, who would play a critical part in the rise of Christianity. This is the story of Jesus' family. For the first time, we will be tracing the many relatives who helped shape Jesus' life, from childhood to crucifixion. Investigating this hidden history will be one of the most respected genealogists in America, Tony Burroughs. He will travel across 3 continents, piecing together the evidence, from Judea to forensic laboratories in Europe. He will uncover a story that sheds a very different light on one of the most famous figures of history. From childhood to enlightenment. And ultimately to death and resurrection. What Tony discovers will revolutionize our understanding of Jesus forever. Searching for Jesus' family tree is eminent genealogist Tony Burroughs. He has spent over 20 years tracing the family trees of African-American families. But the task he's faced with now is the biggest of his career.
Looking at the family of Jesus is a tremendous challenge because you don't have relatives you can go to and ask questions of. You don't have the modern records that we have now. So trying to piece the very scant records that do exist is going to be extremely challenging.
Tony's quest is focused on one main question. Just who were the members of Jesus' family? Many believe that Jesus was Mary's only child. But as Tony starts looking at the evidence, he finds clues that paint a very different picture. He begins by looking at some of the earliest sources of information, the Gospels, 4 accounts of his life and mission written in the 1st century.
In genealogy, we try to find the earliest resources, hopefully close to the time events occurred. But when I did that, I found some things that were totally unexpected.
The Gospel of Mark mentions that Jesus was not an only child. It says that he had siblings. To find out more, Tony meets with biblical historian James Charlesworth.
Jim, tell me about this story in Mark.
It's quite a remarkable story. Jesus goes into the synagogue and he reads from the Bible. He explains the text to the Jews there, and they're astounded. Who is this man? Is he not the son of Joseph? And are not his brothers, James, Joseph, Judas, and Simon? And do we not know about his sisters? So he has at least 6 brothers and sisters.
I had no idea it was such a large family. And 2 sisters? I never heard.
You know, watching my nephews and my cousins playing basketball kind of reminds me of when my brothers and I used to play back when we were young. And you know, even though my oldest brother and us, we had our differences, it made me think about Jesus and his siblings. I'm sure he played a lot of games, probably not basketball, but I'd really like to know their relationships and how they got along. You know, I had this image of Jesus being an only child. I never had any inkling that he had a much larger family. Christians believe that Jesus' father was God. Others believe that his father was Joseph.
But for the people of the first century, the question wasn't so clear-cut.
When my father died and I was in my early 20s, I became more of a man because I had to accept more responsibility. And I guess Jesus at 12 became a man at a much earlier age.
Tony has come to believe that Joseph was a positive and influential figure throughout Jesus' childhood. Now Tony wants to find out more about Jesus' extended family.
In genealogy, the major quest is to identify who the parents are, as well as the siblings. Then we want to broaden our search and find out who were the aunts, the uncles, and the cousins, because they all played a role in that person's life.
Genealogist Tony Burroughs is facing the biggest challenge of his career. He's on a journey to trace the family of Jesus. So far, the results have been astounding.
Jesus did not have a straightforward family. It was very complicated. Not only did he have brothers and sisters, but he also had step-brothers and sisters because Joseph was previously married and he had children before Jesus was even born. This was a much older man, someone who Jesus really looked up to and didn't even know beforehand. So to find out that they were actually related and cousins just blew me away. Jesus had a support group just like each and every other family. So learning who his family members are and the roles that they played will help us really understand Jesus a lot better.
Tony wants to know who they were and what they may have looked like. His quest takes him to Galilee, the birthplace of Jesus, where he meets a family who have traced their ancestors back 2,000 years. He examines ancient skulls and, with the help of the latest computer technology, reveals the faces of a first-century family. For Tony, it's a journey of huge discoveries.
This exploration has completely changed my view of Jesus and the role his family played. It's just been an unbelievable journey in ways I could never imagine.
But Tony has a bit of luck. He discovers a living database as a resource. In the hills of Galilee, only 34 miles from Nazareth, there's a family who claim to have lived in the area since the time of Jesus.
It's incredible to even think about a family that can trace their family history back 2,000 years. I can only trace mine back about 200 years. That took me about 20 years to do that.
This is the Zanatti family.
Tony. Hi. How you doing? Bibi, Tony.
Hi. Bonen.
Hi, Tony.
They live in Pekin, a village mentioned in Jewish records from the 1st century.
I heard your family has been here a long time.
It's one of the very few places in Israel that has remained undisturbed for 2,000 years. Although the Zanatti family left briefly during the Arab Revolt of the 1930s, they were the only Jews to return a year later.
This is your grandpa. You all look alike.
If the Zanatti's claim is true, then this modern family may have the same facial traits as Galilean Jews from the time of Jesus.